I believe we are live now. So, hello everyone. Welcome to another session from Investing with a Difference. We are going to today talk about EOS wallets, EOS voting, and some of the questions people are asking about airdrops. So that is going to be our focus. I know there are a lot of other things which people want to discuss, but I think in the interest of this being one of the most important topic for many of the people who are investors, we would keep it very much focused on these items. But of course, it's an open Q&A session, and we will be taking your questions as we go along. So first of all, let us have a quick introduction while we are waiting for everybody to join in. So Facebook page, I think a lot of you have asked us. So we have this right on our channel. So our channel is youtube.com/c/investing with a difference. Oh, sorry for this. I ended up pressing a wrong link. All right. So we have if you just say youtube.com /c/investing with a difference, this is our channel. I'm sure because you're watching our videos and you already know about channel and you have subscribed, so you can easily get here. And so the links are right here in the channel description. That is Facebook page, and we have Twitter. We are not very active because we don't have too many followers, and we don't have enough resources to update everything. But we do have referral links for Binance and BitMEX if you are trading. Especially BitMEX is a very good tool if you are a speculator. For small moves, you can really make a leverage trade of 100x. And now they're adding more and more tokens on that. So this is actually a good way of maybe speculating, but make sure that you are only risking the amount which you can lose, because this is not an investment when you trade these kind of derivatives on Bitcoin or EOS or anything like that. Now, a quick update. I think we had a lot of questions about wallet. I think a lot of people have viewed this video. We still believe that you should focus on Greymass wallet as the safest one. And just wanted to take some questions. So this is the link. We have always shared it in many of our videos. It's very safe place as long as you make sure you are clicking the link we are posting in YouTube or at various places. And if your link is correct, the only risk you have is when you click on this, you need to first of all make sure you're at the right place, because most of the browsers, especially Chrome browser, give you this option of checking whether it's a secure link, and they make a green github.inc icon, and you will see a lock, and then you can press it. I don't know if you can see this when I press it on the live screen. You will see a certificate. We should check whether the certificate is valid. You should also check the cookies, that is somebody sneaking on to your information. So the cookies and certificate is very important. Make sure there is no information there in these two links when you click on this lock, and that will make sure that your wallet is safe, you're downloading at the right place. Now once you reach here, it's pretty safe to download it from these sites. So this DMG file, this is the MacBook file, and exe, this fourth link from the bottom, is for the Windows. So it's very simple. There are other files here for people who are more technical. They want to test, they want to build their own code. So they have given the source code, so you can build your own wallet just to be safe, because executables can be tampered with. But as long as you download from the right source, we are not too worried. So this is one question which everybody was asking. So I just wanted to make sure these are some of the basic security steps of how you can download the wallet safely. And as we have explained earlier, this is one of the safest implementation of EOS wallet while we are still waiting for the hardware wallets. All right, so the next step, let's quickly look at the market. So as you know that Bitcoin itself took another dive from a very promising area of 6,600 and 6,700. And as we have talked previously, we see $6,800 as the resistance. So if you remember a video from a few days back, I have not updated this chart. So if you remember, I had noted down $6,800 as a resistance when we were very early on in this uptrend. and we exactly hit there, and we are dropping down. Now, the support areas which I had noted, let me move the arrow out. Support areas I had noted is 6,500, which we lost yesterday, while there is another support that is 6250. Let's see, where did we come back from? So we bounced back from 62. Okay, let me see the low point of this candle. So yesterday we made a low of 62.60. So it's like $10 difference from the support area which I had identified. It looks like it is following the pattern very nicely. There was a very good trading opportunity when it broke down below 6,500 to 62.50 if you are a trader. And now I would say you need to hold on. If you are shorting, it's a risky proposition if you're shorting Bitcoin. And I believe it can go up from here. So as you know, we keep talking about Bitcoin because that drives the market, that drives almost all the altcoins. And that is something which we always need to watch if you are an investor. Now, coming back to what is happening on the voting world, I think let me quickly update. We have got now 57 people who are voting with us as a proxy, and this is great. I think we are one of the biggest proxy pool, not in terms of EOS, because we believe that all of us are small investors. We are not like whales who are much bigger in terms of EOS. There are millions of EOS, but in terms of people, and that's what is important for me, that we are building a community who is voting together and maybe raising our voices. So that is the goal which we are trying to build here. Our goal is not to become a whale. Our goal is to build a community voice and make sure that we are counted at some point. And again, I think some people had questions on YouTube whether we gain anything from this. So let me clarify. We have nothing to gain. When you give us proxy, we don't gain any access to your tokens or any account. We don't have any other rights. The only thing when you assign proxy to us is that you reflect whatever votes we have made with this account. Your account reflects the same votes. That's the only thing which happens when there is a proxy assigned. And it doesn't give us any rights or any benefits. So that is just to clarify if anybody has this question. And I think the goal here is that we want to be asking questions to block producers. So let me give you one example. So now this is a block producer map, which we refreshed recently. And this is a very good tool. It's called EOS block producer map.io. You can have a look. And if we zoom in, you see a big chunk of BPs in China. Many of them are good BPs, so I'm not questioning everybody. What I'm saying is my concern is that some of these whale-backed BPs like EOS Cleaner, like ZB EOS, who are not clearly identifying. They have very few votes, which are huge votes, and that is something we are focusing on. I think Start EOS has gained a lot of attention recently. They bought the first name bid, which is EOS. So Start EOS now owns the domain EOS on the EOS blockchain, so they can create further account names .EOS. So, but let's see how they perform. I think they have been doing recently reasonably well, and they are participating in community. We have not seen much participation from ZB EOS. They are using either they are using exchange users vote because they have not declared how they do this voting. EOS Cleaner, it recently came up, and again, they don't have a very, very good transparency model. EOS Huobi has similar issues. Even I think there are some others which EOS Store is one of the BPs which had messed up when the ECAF had asked to lock the account. So these are some of the BPs we are worried about. Similarly, I think the biggest concern we have is there is nobody from this Africa continent, and our goal is to make sure that we spread it out. We are not recently the Australian BPs have gone out of top 21. So this is not very healthy. I think our goal will always be to look at the geographical diversity and also whether these BPs are good, transparent, and so on. So right now, if you see some of the big, good block producer like Greymas, who have done very well in terms of community development and so on, they are become backup block producers. So the red color defines that they are backup block producers and not the main 21. And they deserve to be in 21, we believe. And these are the kind of things we need to impact. So that's our goal when we are voting. So again, so thanks for the trust. I think, again, let me confirm, we talked about it in another video. If you have your token staked, that is what counts here. So this is the weight of our vote. So it's 198,000 EOS is what we as a community are right now voting with. And the more tokens you stake, this weight keeps going up if you are voting with us. And if you want to see which block producers we are voting every week, because the vote starts decaying every week. And you can click on this link and you will see our block producers. So originally we started with a diversity model with whatever we have seen in the community, some recommendations from the BPs we trust. That's how we decided how many block producers and which block producers we are voting. But as we go along, we are spending more time investigating these block producers, and we will make sure that we vote for block producers who are good for the community. In fact, we have started talking to some of the block producers on how they are building the community trust, how they are building tools for community, and that will also help us decide for some of the block producers who are not in top 30 or top 40, and we want to make sure that we have some healthy block producers as a backup block producer. So that is another goal, and we will definitely try and support them. All right, guys. So these are the couple of items about wallet, about the voting. Before we jump into the next topic, let me take some questions. So let us know if you have anything in your mind which you want us to answer. So right now, we will go back to the chat. Let me have a look. What does the 20 mean? Okay, so the 20 is the tokens which are staked in our account. That is, so if you go on the top, you can see the account EOS, that is which account is voting and how many EOS are in that account. Then you're talking about total proxy EOS and the proxy EOS, and these two added become the total EOS we are voting with. And the most important thing you need to look at is proxied accounts. That means, while if you see the Bitfinex is looking at like 3 million proxied votes, they are mostly with the one whale. So these are big people controlling the votes. And what we have is 57 people. While our vote is not as big as some of these huge proxies, we are the biggest in terms of number of people, and that's what counts for us. And that is the most important thing. So if you look, some of these, like the sandwich farm, they have just one account and they are voting only one block producer. So they're only focusing on one block producers, which is EOS Detroit. So I think these are kind of things we recommend, and we appeal to these proxy voters that the goal is not to vote for 1 or 5. You need to at least vote for 20 to make a difference. And even Bitfinex driven activity, so I don't think they can control much, because they are only voting as per the wish of this one whale, and that is how I think it is working. I hope that, like, mostly Bitfinex has been very transparent, so I have nothing against them. While I don't like that these huge whales are sitting there and voting, but I think they would have done it anyway. They're just using Bitfinex accounts, so that's not a big problem, as long as Bitfinex is taking their permission and transmitting this over the chain in a transparent way. And I think they have opened up their code. They have shown the community that they're using open source code. Anybody can review it. So we have nothing against Bitfinex as such, but definitely it is not good when even the proxy votes are being used by big whales. And that's where we need to bring. So we have almost, at the Genesis snapshot, we had 160,000 investors in the EOS. And if we can build even a few thousand investors here, that is our long-term goal, where we can go as a community and not really look at what is what is the wish of these big whales. So remember, the community can really make a difference, because right now you're talking about 57 people, but as we become bigger, nobody can ignore our voice. And our goal is only to make sure that we build a community voice. We are not trying to gain anything out of this. Of course, we get more visibility, we can talk to more BPs, and we can actually impact more and more as we go along. All right, so any other questions about voting or wallet, please get going right now, and we will move on to other topics. So name bidding does not look like one a day awarded. Explain the process. So I think it is early days that the goal was one a day. I think they did award EOS, which was the biggest on the voting block, on the bidding block. So let me quickly open, if I can, um, some information about it. I think the toolkit had one link, so I'm just trying to open that while you are waiting. And please keep going with your questions while I'm looking for the information on this question. So what I know is that they did award one name, and that is something which has gone through. And but I think overall the plan, I think Dan Larimer had suggested that we should do more for bigger names like 6 to 11 characters, which are, so as you know, that 12 character names are free as long as they are available. They are just like when you create an email for yourself or something. um, so that is a very very simple thing which everybody can do. But when you're looking for a smaller name like EOS, like USA or something, you can create a dot, like you can create a domain. So for example, if you want yourname.eos or yourname.usa, then you have to go to now these owners of the domain name. So EOS domain was the first one, which was bid at a pretty high price, and that is what I think got awarded to start EOS. So let me see if I can have a look. So yeah, I managed to find this site which has the details from EOS Park. So EOS Park has this information about so the bids which have gone through. So there are two auctions which have already completed, and one of them is com, which is .com you can use, and EOS. So the biggest bid was one. Both of them went to start EOS, so they have been very very active. They are one of the block producers who are bidding for these with a very very high amount. The next one is one, just like block.one, you will be able to create .one domains and then IO. So I believe that these will be the next, because they look at the topmost account, which is the highest bid, and people are bidding very high. So thankfully, it is not start EOS here, or you never know if at the last minute they end up bidding. All right, let's look at the questions now. Since I'm not going to sell, should I just stake all my tokens? Yes, you can stake all of the tokens, but make sure you keep at least half a token or one token each on CPU and net staked, because to make transactions on the system on the EOS blockchain, you will need something staked. You cannot have absolutely zero. So as you know that you use your CPU and bandwidth based on how much you stake. But I think anybody for a normal transactions, you don't need to stake more than one EOS. So like if you break it down into 0.5 and 0.5 stake tokens, that is more than sufficient for all of your need for making transactions on EOS, unless you are playing some monster EOS game or you're actually using that account to heavily interact with blockchain. So there are more and more DApps coming. At one point, I'm sure a lot of us are excited about those DApps and we want to interact with the blockchain. At that point, you can unstake more, because oh, sorry, I totally answered it wrong way. So let me take it back. So one EOS you need to stake minimum. Unstake, you can actually have zero. That's right. So I think, so I take everything back which I said. So you can stake all your tokens if you don't need to use them. What I was trying to say is you at least everybody should stake at least one EOS. So that's the question. The answer was other way around. Sorry. All right. So what other questions we have? What's up with RAM? So RAM, okay. Let's look at the RAM price. So RAM price has been going down recently since yesterday. So the main reason has been the change in the Bancor algorithm. The volatility will go down with this new change, and that is something which is happening. But again, the prices are going to stay high. Remember that the prices are like RAM is like a real estate on the blockchain, because you're actually storing information. I'm personally not in the favor of very very cheap RAM, because this is the limited resource. We don't want low quality apps to take over. One thing which is the biggest concern for people is the account creation, because the account creation has become expensive because of expensive RAM. And you need to understand that you only need one account. All of us who already own EOS on Genesis Snapshot, we got free accounts. So all of us have an account name. We can interact with EOS. Now we are talking about another like 160,000 people who are already seeded with account names. A lot of people bought account names early on, very cheap. So even if you're paying $15 or $20 for your account names, I don't think it's a big fee. Means I still remember paying around $40 at one point to make transactions on Bitcoin in January, because I was in a hurry to move my tokens around. That is the one-time fee which people paid. And remember, at that time there were hundreds and thousands of transactions happening. The reason the price was high, because the number of transactions were very high. Now, people are complaining about the account name creation will cost us $20 or $40 if the price remains high for the RAM. That is only one-time fee for all your life when you're going to use EOS. If the EOS becomes the gold standard for blockchain, which we all believe in, if EOS is here to stay and we have like thousands of dApps in next 1 or 2 years, you only need to pay once. That's all, and then your account name is yours, and you can use it for free transactions for blockchain. And it is now tell me, why is this not an advantage, irrespective of the RAM price? So people who are creating a FUD about, oh, RAM is going to kill EOS, this is totally nonsense. Now let me tell you one more thing. The RAM, the account creation problem which people are talking about, Dan Larimer is announcing very shortly. He has committed that there will be a DEX, that is decentralized exchange based on EOS, from Block.one within this summer. So we are already in the summer. He's talking about releasing the DEX within summer, and they are going to subsidize the username creation because they have a lot of money. People always complain, oh, they have raised so much money, how are they going to utilize it? And he has already hinted that the account name creation on that DEX will be free or maybe subsidized in some way. Maybe they will return it as some sort of fee. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but these are the kind of things which are possible. And I think RAM price being high is not bad for the ecosystem. Yes, people don't like it when speculators make money, but in any financial market, capitalism drives the economy. Now, some people made money, some others are losing money. That is your choice. You are not forced into it. If you lost money, you didn't understand. That was the problem you had because you are speculating. So people who are complaining about this volatility of RAM price or high RAM price, I'm personally not concerned about any amount of RAM price, like going up, even if it goes to 1 EOS per kilobyte. I'm not too worried. And so let's see, let's talk about EOS RP. So that is a better view because this is a tool from EOS New York, and you can see that what is current price for RAM in dollars, and it is $2.50 per kilobyte, and all you need is around 4 kilobytes for one account. So you're talking about hardly like $10 right now at current price for one account. And then you're talking about, some people like, ideally you can assign 8 kilobytes, which is what was the default by the EOS blockchain when all of us got an account from the Genesis snapshot, and that 8 kilobytes will cost you $20. But right now, I think 4 kilobytes is more than enough. We have asked people around, and I just see a comment from somebody who bought a name for 3.21 kilobyte. So that is maybe the minimum. But remember, you don't want to run out of RAM for some operations, because when you write memos, when you send transactions, you should always at least have some spare RAM. And that is what I would say that is very important. There is another question, is RAM at a good price right now? So again, this is a speculation. I would not say like how the speculators will play it out. There are big people in the game. The amount of money being right now being traded on EOS RAM is huge. So let me say, uh, let me show you the RAM fee, uh, which is just the 1% of the total transactions. So every transaction is 0.5% of EOS is the fee, and 1% if you buy and sell. And already people have paid $14.3 million if we consider EOS at $10. But now that we are at $7.5, let us say this is around $12 million or so has been spent on fee. So you can imagine the volumes of EOS which is being traded on RAM. And with this kind of action, you never know what kind of uh, price you can achieve. As I said, it's a real estate. If you have traded real estate, you understand how these things can be very volatile when there is a limited resource and a lot of demand. Is anyone else getting repeated deposits of 0.001 EOS AD? I've gotten no less than about 50 deposits within the last 2 days. So this was activity from EOS ADD, which was the first airdrop. This is a block producer from China, I believe. And they were trying to do a stress test of EOS system. So let's go. I think I showed you in one of the videos yesterday the blocktivity, that is the blockchain activity information. And EOS has actually made pretty significant gains in number of transactions made. So if you see, EOS is very close to Ethereum. At one point, EOS was higher than Ethereum. So the record was 969,000 transactions, which is huge for our 1 day, like 24-hour period, for a very, very early blockchain where there is no dApps right now, not many dApps which are running. And so this is huge, I think. And what happened was this ADD transactions were coming from EOS add to stress test the system that helped push this up. What it means is that EOS is capable of already supporting this many transactions. While we are very early on, block producers are still upgrading their networks for long-term support. And they don't even have enough resources because they're only earning for less than a month. So you need to understand that this is something which is very, very critical. I have been highlighting. But just to answer your question, yes, there are a lot of deposits happening. Those are mostly not targeted for any airdrops or something. This is mostly for stressing the system and checking how well it can perform under this high transaction volumes. So that is what I would say was happening, and nothing to worry about. Just ignore those transactions. Not everybody is getting those. They are just sending it randomly. And if you are one of those unlucky ones who is seeing, and if you have set up alerts, as we have shown you with EOS Authority tools, I'm sure you must be getting a lot of alerts and getting worried about it. So don't worry about those transactions. They are not taking anything away from your account. They are mostly just making some very, very small transactions. All right. Any other questions? Let me see what else is coming. So there are no other questions. So let's talk a little bit about okay, let me see. Some people are trying to spam our chat. Guys, if you're trying to spam, this is a moderated chat. We will be deleting these messages. They are all held for review. So please do not spam the network or the chat here because this is not acceptable. Now, coming back from other people who are currently watching our stream, so please go ahead and you can post your message and questions here. So let's go back and talk about airdrops now. So one of the things which people have asked is how to track airdrops. So what you need to understand is there are a lot of tools coming up. These are the community tools. Status-eos.io is something which is a very good site for all the tools. And there are some airdrop trackers. There are some other sites. You can look at this information, and this will help you track many of these airdrops. And you can just click on airdrops, and this will give you which are links which are for airdrops. Similarly, there's a lot of nice links for EOS BP maps. Like if you click on this will show you that same thing which we showed, EOS block producer map.io. There are some nice tools of showing which are the top 21. This is another great thing they show, that is what is the voting pattern, who gained at what point. So if you see some of these block producers got a huge vote at instantly, and this must be a whale activity. So all these things are being coming up. We already looked at this tool, which was the geographical distribution of EOS. So these are the kind of things which you can access at this. So do look at the status-eos.io. Remember, this is not a safe site, and do not enter any of your information. This is just an information site. You can click on links, but if you go to a link from this site, do not trust those links always. This is for information only. As long as you're just consuming information, we recommend this site. But anybody can fake this site, so be careful entering any information when you go from such links. These are very early days in creating this kind of tools, and but this is a very good kind of information directory which anybody can go to, and as of now it's very useful. What kind of tools are available? We have done many videos on these. We have talked about account alerts from EOS Authority. We have talked about the RAM calculators. We have talked about the EOS toolkit. Then there are many more toolkits coming up, and you can look at all of these. Then there are validation tools, the BP validator. This is actually we talked about. It's a very, very good tool from EOS Nation. They are trying to make sure that they can objectively identify the block producers who are um, doing good in terms of compliance, and that is something they are actually putting out a scorecard for each of these block producers. So this is something which is going to be very useful. It's still loading. If you see here, these are the block producers who are actually passing their tests, and some of them are not. So we will also be analyzing these kind of tools going forward when we are deciding on our vote. Till now, we have mostly looked at the community outreach and the kind of support they are providing to community. That was our criteria. We are more and more going into the compliance side now and reviewing what these tools are providing, and that's how we will keep changing our votes. Now, coming back to airdrops, so there are these two airdrop trackers. One is from I think the best one is the airdrop for EOS.com. So if you go here, they have a huge list of airdrops which are expected. So one thing I would like to highlight, all this information is not official information. This is based on what these people have captured from whatever is publicly available. And many of these airdrops, the dates are stale. They are no longer valid because of all the RAM issues. Many of these projects were not able to airdrop as they intended, and they have not publicly declared their updated plans. And that's, I think, one of the reasons people are wondering what happened to their airdrops. Do not worry about it unless there is a airdrop with registration. So anything which is without registration, they will automatically come to you. So 27 airdrops are without registration, and there are 18 with registration. So you should look at this. I think ERIO, the registration was very early before the mainnet, so don't worry about it. eDNA, only for people who have less than 100 tokens, they need to register. Everybody else will automatically get airdrop. So you can go and click on these links, go to their sites. You can do your own research if you are too worried about these airdrops. I would say that most of the good projects, they are airdropping without you even doing anything. So do not worry too much about these things. But there are some things you can do, like for example, EOS Sports Pets. They were providing some bonus tokens. So they have already a defined airdrop model for everybody, whether you register or not. But they also had additional bonus airdrop if you register an account and if you're interested in sports betting. Those tokens will only be useful for betting on sports unless they at some point they get listed and they are worth something. So these are some of the things you need to understand, and you can go through this link, airdropsforeos.com, and you can learn more about it. All right, so what is let's come back and now take other questions. I see one question. Have you heard that Ono will be running on its own chain? That's right. I think most of the big high volume projects will have to run a side chain because I think there are multiple reasons. One thing is, as you see, that there is this concern about the RAM price on the mainnet. Second thing is, many of the projects, they want the data to be on the mainnet. So, sorry, on the blockchain. So when you want to store most of your data or your transactions on blockchain, you need to understand that you cannot scale EOS mainnet. Now, Whether they use the EOS token or they create their own token, that is up to this each project of in this whole sidechain model. So there are two models which are going to work. One is the actual EOS sidechains, which will be started by block producers, and they will be using the same EOS tokens. The other model will be where each project, they do their own side chain, but they will be validating in some way to the EOS mainnet, or maybe not. It's up to them. Just like people fork, people create their own networks. They by copying Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything. Anybody can take the open source code and run their own chain. Now, whether the value of Ono, because they're running their own chain, will be high, that depends on their own model. They are not tied to directly to EOS token if they run their own side chain. So that is the drawback for these dApps. They believe that they can be independently successful in creating a token model. They are welcome to do that, and we should not have anything against them. So it's not a right for every EOS holder to get some stake into every dApp using EOS. You need to understand that. The real benefit of EOS token is the network effect, because the big apps will be coming on that, and that's how the price will go. It is not about you want everything. Every dApps have to give the token to you. I also heard some comments about a lot of people who talk about, oh, this dApp is not giving 1:1. This dApp is giving more or less. It's about equity, right? Means these people are spending their effort. They're building a project. Now they give airdrop if it benefits them. It's a again, these are businesses which are trying to run on EOS. So it's not a communism. That's not how the market works. That's not how successful economies are created. So I would say, let us be wise when we talk about these things. I want everybody subscribe to our channel to really learn how this market is going to operate. Let us not get involved in all these stupid discussions which are happening on various channels, and like people are complaining about things. So the basic idea is that EOS will run its own mainnet. It will run its side chains. All that will be operating using EOS token. Anybody who is running their own EOS network, that will be like a fork, or not even a fork. That is a totally different blockchain, and they are free to do anything they want because it's an open source code, and their token will not be valued as EOS. Their token will have its own economy. But anything which is running on the side chain of EOS, they will have a very, very much like tied economy to EOS. So now let us talk about the next questions. Do you think Dan will airdrop new Steem and BitShares? As I understand, there is no new token which is going to be created for new Steem and BitShares. Dan has talked about using EOS and EOS token basically, and it will be most probably be a side chain. Now, how they will split it if they create their own token, I don't know if that is going to happen. But if and when they do, they can decide to do whatever they want. But what I understand is that you can use your EOS account to log in. So that means that they will be tied to EOS tokens. So again, this is all speculation. We don't have any useful official information right now. But from all the hints Dan has given on various Telegram channels, I believe it will be EOS token only. You don't have to worry about any airdrops, and it will be working as a side chain of EOS. Next question. So EOS allows for side chains. Can there be different consensus algorithms? No. So when it is a EOS side chain, it has to follow exactly same source code. It will only have different resources. That's how the side chains work. As soon as you change your consensus algorithms, as soon as you change anything else, it becomes a new blockchain. It is not EOS anymore. It cannot be using the same token. Is Greymask safe enough to store all my tokens on, or should some be left on an exchange? I would say, Fred, it is all dependent on how safe your computer is. And how comfortable you are owning your own tokens. Remember one thing, that exchanges, you are giving the security to exchange. And if you trust the exchange, like Binance has done very well in the wake of attacks which they had, in the kind of things which we have seen, they have been very, very well versed with how to handle these attacks. So we are not discouraging people from keeping tokens on exchange if you are not sure how to keep your tokens secure. Now, Greymass as a tool is secure, but whether your PC is secure, that is up to you. Some people who are big investors, I know a couple of them I've talked to, they keep a completely dedicated laptop just for crypto. They don't access even the internet with that. That's how they keep it secure. They put antiviruses, they keep it completely isolated from any other internet activity they do to make sure that there is no virus coming on that. So these are the various ways people do it, but most of us, I think, we are fairly comfortable with our PC security, and I think that's what I would say, rather than Greymass having any issue. Till now, we have not seen any issue with Greymass. Nobody has reported. It's a very widely used wallet now, and their priority has been security first and features later. And that's what we like about Greymass wallet versus some other wallets who went ahead with features. And of course, none of the EOS wallets till now, which are delivered by block producers, have been found to have any issues. So we don't have any concern about that. What else we have? Did you already talk about wallet? We did talk about wallets. We do have this video. If you have not really seen this video, please go watch this Best EOS wallet video. We have talked about Greymass, which we are endorsing because we have been using it. You can download it at this link. So if you go to that video, you will also get the link in the description. And this is on our channel. And you can go ahead and take. If you have any specific questions about wallet, we are still taking questions. So let us know. How does OT work with RAM? I'm not sure what do you mean by OT. Do you actually spend RAM when you're doing airdrop or not? So let me take the second question because I don't understand the first one. So do you actually spend RAM? You have to buy RAM to store tokens. So let's say when you create a new token, like I create a token IWD, like for example, IWAD, investing with a difference. Now I have to store the information. Let's say I airdrop the token. I need to maintain on blockchain who owns how many tokens. And when future transactions will happen, that information has to be stored on the mainnet, and that's what you need RAM for. So you're not consuming RAM; you need RAM and to make that information persist in the memory, and that is the consumption of RAM. Now you cannot, it's not an airdrop requirement, it's a token creation requirement to hold the tokens on blockchain. So what happened is the poor man token, which is one of the block producers, has actually come out. I think Generous is come out with that. It's an amazing way of reducing the need for RAM. I think it's happening today. And what you need to do is you go and claim. So if we all have 8 kilobyte of RAM when we got the EOS account, and you can go and actually claim that token and store it in your memory versus doing it in the blockchain based on the account of the token creator. And that is something which is one way of reducing requirement for RAM from airdrops. I'm not sure if that is going to work out because in that way you're telling every EOS token holder to take an action to claim the token. This is something which not many people can do. Right now, most of the wallets do not have this tool. So I don't know. We need to see if they are going to use Toolkit. I have not really looked into details. It's happening today, I've been told. We will do maybe a video on that to understand what's happening. It's a very nice thing, like nice innovation. So as I said, there are smart people out there. When problems present themselves, somebody go and fix it. So this whole airdrops requiring RAM, they're trying to do a trial run, and it is not a bad thing. But I would say that this is not a long-term solution because you are talking about people going and claiming tokens. You're talking about doing actions which people don't understand. The DApp which tries to use that model will be at a disadvantage versus a DApp which actually drops to everybody and make it available. So it depends on your goals of airdrop. Airdrop is, as I said before, they are not a right for a token holder. They're given by the developers of the app to spread their tokens around and to create a better economy for their model, for their project. And it helps them. That's why they give you airdrop. If it doesn't help them, If they already have a strong business model to launch that DApp without airdropping, they will do it. If they choose a model where you have to claim it, where you have to go through this your own RAM allocation, that is also dependent upon each DApp whether that is good enough for them, because whenever there is an action assigned, very few people do it. So I'm seeing some comments, MD, thanks for update that 1200 people registered for this test. Let's say this was just a test, but maybe when there is a real DApp, maybe another 10 times more, 12,000 people will register for that. But is 12,000 number of users sufficient for launching a DApp? Some DApps want 100,000 people to have their tokens so that they can spread it around and they get the initial boost of adoption. And that is something you need to understand, that this whole airdrop model is not to reward you. It is for their own purpose. They want to create adoption, and they are trying to skip a step of adoption. Like usually, like if you look at Bitcoin, it was a organic adoption. Nobody did airdrops, and it took very long time for Bitcoin to become popular. Some recent projects, they have started this airdrop model to get faster adoption, and that is the goal of airdrops, and not to it's not a dividend. It's not, as people say, it's not a right for you as a token holder that you should get airdrops. You need to understand this. If you're in crypto world, this is very important distinction. Even though it acts as a dividend, it acts as a bonus for you. But I think it is not that important that you you should not say that it's my right to get that airdrop. And again, as I said, I digressed a little bit, coming back to the RAM discussion. So you can always use this poor man token model, but I'm not sure whether DApps will do that, because it doesn't translate to wider adoption. What else, guys? So how often do you vote as as our proxy? So we are voting every week, or worst case once in 2 weeks. The vote decays very slowly. So what happens is every week there's a very small decay, and after 1 year, if we don't vote, the vote will decay by 50%. That is half the weight. But if we vote every week, there is zero decay, but that is also very small. So after 1 week, the decay, there is a small decay. As you go along every week, there is additional decay which happens, and the rate of decay increases after 1 year. But I think the biggest concern is not about the vote decay. I think the biggest concern is how many tokens are staked. So we have 57 accounts which are voting as proxy, and right now the staked token amount is 198,000. If you unstake your tokens, this weight will reduce faster, and if you add more tokens which are staked, that will increase the weight. So that is, I think, a much bigger impact to the vote which we are making, versus if we don't vote for 2-3 weeks, it's not a huge impact to the final results. Can you reclaim RAM, delete what is stored perhaps? Yes, I think as a DApp, you can always release RAM. Releasing RAM means you're not using it on the network, and then you can sell it. But if you sell RAM and your program which is running on the blockchain, if it needs more RAM, it will crash. So that is why there is some extra RAM which every DApp will buy, because they want to make sure they're taking care of the worst case scenario, and that's how it works. I'm getting an error when you're using EOS account name as deposit address when trying to get funds off Binance. I have got similar updates from many people. This is a Binance problem. You do not have to change anything. Just make sure your 12-character account name is correct. I believe that this is an error from Binance side. If you try it 10 times, it will happen finally. Do not try to enter any keys instead of account name. That's not going to be a good idea. You should always focus on using account names, and it is working. Some people have reported that Binance is giving an error, and but they finally managed to do it. Do you have a list published of who you're voting for? So if you go to this Aloha EOS tool, you just click on our name, you will see the list of block producer we are voting for. So we have repeated it many times. Please look here. We are going to change this because we are investigating all the block producers. Originally, we started with the geographical diversity and the community effort of these block producers. Now we are going to add more criteria for our voting, including the compliance, including any other negative factors which we are worried about. But in addition, we are also looking at adding more block producers who are doing good, but they are not earning rewards. They are low in their rating, their votes, and we want to make sure that they are supported and they are very good backup block producers. So we need to support them as well. So we are using multiple criteria to vote, and we are also actually engaging with some block producers who are low in the list, whether what they are doing and whether we should support them. What if somebody is not voting at all? What can be the consequence? There is no consequence. It's just like democracy. If you are living in a democratic country, if you don't vote, there is no consequence. But you don't have the right to complain if the people who are running the show, if they are not doing the right things. So it's very similar. Voting is not mandatory. It is not. It is more like a thing which you should do if you want to participate in the community, if you want to help. Every small vote, even though you can say, oh, how will my vote count? Now, if you look at it, we are 57 people now, and we have 198,000 EOS. Even if you have 100 EOS, if we keep adding up on this, we can, as a group, as a community, we can make a difference. Has Everpedia cancelled the airdrop? So Everpedia has not cancelled the airdrop. They have delayed it. They made a call to sell their RAM because they thought they can use those funds for future versus using it for airdrop. So again, it's a debatable thing. We did discuss about this in another video. I don't want to repeat it here. I personally do not like it what they did, especially because they have a VC backing. They have already raised money. They do not have to start their project like this. But I think they have committed that they are going to do airdrop very soon. It was just a short-term trade for delaying by a few weeks because RAM was ridiculously expensive. And as you know, that RAM prices have come down significantly. So I think they're ready now. But overall, I'm not pretty happy with what happened. And I think I've lost a little bit of respect for the team of Everpedia, while I think it is still a very, very good project. And they are just trying to be a businessman and trying to make money. Nothing wrong in it, nothing illegal in it. It is not against the EOS constitution. What I'm trying to say here is at a moral grounds, at a being the leading D app supported by Block.one, supported by EOS VC fund, I would have expected better from them. And I hope that Block.one is taking care of this kind of a thing. All right, guys. So I'm running out of time now, so we'll take last one or two questions. Um, so there's another question: are you buying EOS? So Johnny has this question: EOS at these levels, or waiting to see how BTC pulls the market? So I'm accumulating. We are recommending accumulating EOS. Bitcoin is kind of looks like bottoming. It started an uptrend which didn't last long, but I think it's not breaking down. Irrespective of that, I think EOS has fallen even more. So let's look at the EOS chart. It has actually, the chart is not looking great. I would say the lows of the March timeline in dollar terms, the $4 is possible, but it's already at $7, and I don't think anybody can call a bottom. Like, nobody knows what's going to be the future. It's a pretty decent price for long term. But again, I'm not trying to suggest you to buy or anything. I'm just trying to say that it is not expensive. It has a lot of potential. Look at long term, very difficult to say where the bottom will be. What else? What is the proxy name? Guys, we have repeated it many times. Investing WAD, that is investing with a difference. I hope it was easy to remember. We are constrained by the 12-digit account names which EOS has, but this is our proxy name. Do you think EOS RAM is a good hold investment? I would say it's a speculation. It's not an investment, but it will be scarce on mainnet. It can go very fast in short term because the changes are happening. Remember, it may be a great investment once there is a consensus on what will be the algorithms, what will be the model for RAM increase, what will be the model of RAM pricing. Right now, everything is in the flux. There is no clear indication. They already changed the Bancor parameters, which was one of the change which went in. They're talking about various different ways to fix the price. It seems the consensus right now is that this price is too high, and that is why the downward pressure we are seeing recently, it has been dropping consistently. And now with this downward pressure, you don't know how low it will go before people are happy with the RAM price. And this is very similar to like this is a resource which block producers have to manage. So I would not recommend it as an investment. It's a speculation tool right now. And but in long run, that's right, the RAM will have uh, a way, like way of finding how, as an investment you can always go and keep some RAM. It will go up once it stabilizes at some price, which will be dependent upon the final rules of the game. But again, there are better trades to make, guys. Don't get sucked into this RAM trading. If you have accumulated EOS with all the ups and downs, you don't want to lose your tokens trading RAM, because tomorrow if something new comes up as a consensus in terms of adding RAM, it can crash. Do you want to take that risk? That is something you need to think about. There is no limit prices which can set in EOS while you're sleeping. EOS RAM can crash by 50%. What will you do in those scenarios? You need to understand those. There is no, it's not a easy to trade um, token. It's not a token, it's not an exchange. You are doing a market price bids, and that is why you need to understand that it is impossible to trade RAM at these prices as a trader. So I do not recommend it, because I do want to sleep. I cannot stay awake 24 hours and risk my EOS tokens by keeping them in RAM, which when I wake up is maybe 50% down from here. All right, guys. So that is all I have in terms of time. Thanks again for joining. It's always great to take questions from the community. I think we are our focus is to make sure everybody keeps learning and make informed decisions. We are not here to recommend one thing or other. We do have some strong views about things. Do not take it very seriously. We are just trying to educate you, but we do speak against some dumb comments. I have started using some harsh tone in some of my latest videos, because I'm sick of some usual FUD around EOS people who are losing trust. If you're losing trust, just sell your tokens and go and invest somewhere else. There's no point in talking bad or using foul language on the comment section here. As you know, we have a moderated videos. All of these are automatically filtered by YouTube, and we make sure we delete all those comments. But some people have taken the route to send emails to us and using language as if we are EOS or we are representing the community. Our goal is to educate people and not, we are not representing anyone. We are not an agent for any block producer or any block.one or anybody. We are just trying to build an educated community, and that's all our goal is. And we are not trying to gain anything out of this. So that's all I want to say. And if anybody has a problem, please unsubscribe from our channel and stop commenting bad stuff, because it will get automatically filtered out. So there's nothing to gain for you, and we will be deleting all those comments. And please stop sending emails to us if you don't have a valid thing to discuss. And we are not staffed enough to do that. We are not be able to respond to every email. But I think for valid discussions, for valid help, we are trying to do our best. And you're always ready to we are always open to discussions over comments here, or we have our email address in our details on the channel, so you can contact us there. Thanks a lot for joining. Bye for now, and have a nice week. Bye.